a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons and critically fumble a lot. You'll notice that the screen is set up a little bit different today. Unfortunately, Harry is having some family issues, poor sod, and will not be joining us today. And Ben will not be joining us at all. He's okay. Everybody's okay. There's just reasons. It's a thing. We're fine. It's good, sort of. Anyway, previously, shit got complicated. I think is about the best way I can put it, because I still don't believe half of this bullshit. I really don't. The Cupcake Coterie went to the Elven Wild to try to get themselves an army. On the way, some of the more sensible heads prevailing went, "Hey, there's access to various treasuries. Why don't we just hire Belarus mercenaries instead of going, well, on top of going to the place where we know there are going to be assholes?" They didn't know the half of the assholes, because when they got there, they got dismissed, admittedly largely because yeah. To let's just leave it there. And
because Bart.
Well, because Darwin, for very good in character reasons, has a very specific focus, which unfortunately was not the focus that the group as a whole should have been having at that particular moment. Because, big ass dragon is easy to deal with as a concept. Not pleasant, but easier than extra planar devourer insanity meme. Or, anyway, after that went entirely south. They got largely separated, locked into separate rooms, and then Ava's half-dragon, half-sister turned up. There was combat that really did not go as well as it could from the... We had an idea, it didn't quite pan out kind of direction. And while Hazel's biological mother, who was the diplomat in charge of dealing with them, we still don't know entirely what happened there beyond shit went down and all of a sudden she was there with the half dragon. She just noped out of the whole thing before the fight even kicked off. The half dragon did some exquisite damage and then plane shifted herself and Alice, who happened to be like right there, into the Shadowfell. Thankfully, Ben's deathless cousin was in the immediate vicinity. She was a Horizon Walker ranger and knew of a thin place where everybody could get to the Shadowfell. And Remy, being quite the smart cookie, really, had stuck a hunter's mark on Alice, so when they got there, they could actually track her down. They did that. Remy is much better at thinking of ways to track people than she is at, like, sneaking. She rolled 2. This is where the critically fumble a lot bit comes in. 2 nat 1s in a row. Got saved from the first one, not so much from the second one. Leaned well into it by punching a tree after running into it. So thank you for that. Wound up with, as Smeagol put it at the time, lampreys with feet. And they dealt with those. They eventually removed Alice from the clutches of one of the hungry, mostly by Remy hacking it into very small bits. And she just kept stabbing at the end of that one. Just, arms come off and just stabbing another couple of times for good measure. Yeah, okay. All hail...
Keep on putting the sword in it until it stops switching.
Yeah, all hail the the core paladin of Tritherion there. Um, and then they got out with their lives and are now in a sort of a guest lodge in the uh, tree hidden home of the local wood elves, with Bethrina, the deathless cousin, making some food, and basically it's, feed you guys, apparently, talk to Erin, and then Boone is over and she goes to serve Nerul directly. Although as dinner is getting handed out, Bethrina is like, this conversation, because I know you have some concerns that really aren't going to be my problem for very long, I'm afraid to have to say. Do you want to eat this outside and have that conversation there? I don't know how long I can feasibly hold this off. And Erin just shakes his head and says, no need. And looks at Bethrina. I'm coming with you. And turns around to the rest of you. Look, I when I came out of the darkness I was in, I went from that straight to a world I still don't understand. From what little I'm seeing of well, how wood elves live. I don't even know if this is how our clan used to live, but it was, and it still is, too much. It was too much of a jump, and I can't get used to it from the inside. Maybe walking between, seeing it from the outside might help. If not, when it came from leaving the darkness and going to what came next for me, there were friendly faces to guide me to what was next. One day, I hope not for a very long time, but one day, you're going to need that guidance in a more metaphysical way, I want to say. And if I can't acclimate, maybe I can be that for you. Of course, I don't know if the death god actually would accept that, but it's looks up. Uh, Sorry, your majesties, but it's what I'm offering.
Are you sure?
I wouldn't be offering if I was. This is one of the only choices I've really had an opportunity to make. It's been hopping from one only option to another. And not that I'm not grateful, and not that you haven't been wonderful. I don't show it, maybe. I think I've lost the way of it, but I do consider you my family. There's too much world after everything. I tried. I think I need to try a different way.
Well, if it's what you want, I'm not going to stop you. I missed you.
Gives a slight, I doubt that overmuch smile, but Hazel, Froseth, of the ones that are here, you're the ones that have required Revivify. There's a chill in the air. but you never started that journey really, much less finished it. Your hearts stopped, but your souls didn't really go anywhere. So it's Alice who looks up and says, "This isn't just about Nurul's permission, it's Palor's too. Life and death are two sides of the same coin, but I've kind of seen them both, one way or another. And from what I'm getting from, I mean, you feel this, right? They say yes. There might be negotiations if need and desire drive, but you can walk with your kin until you're ready to walk with your family."
Aaron, I know we've had some words recently, but thank you and good on you for well, basically standing up and essentially doing one of the exactly what I was talking about, finding a path and choosing it. Um, Good on you, mate. Um, I wasn't expecting you to choose this path, but it's not a bad one. Um, for what it's worth, go with the gods, I guess, given it's a two side of the same. Look, I'm trying not to leave anybody out here, okay?
Alice is just sort of going, he can go with all the gods. The gods are situational as well, you know.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Just looks at Hazel. "Thank your mothers again for the socks."
Yeah, I will. Good luck, okay?
"Thank you. When you're back at Fort Cupcake, would you water my plants?"
Very much, yes.
"Itinerant cupcake salesman. Gods be with you."
Good luck, Aaron.
It looks at you and Alice. "Take care of each other. I think asking one of you to take care of the other is futile at best, but just keep up with what you're doing with maybe less of the occasionally getting murdered."
We'll try.
Yeah, what she said. "If you happen to trip over Ziriel on your travels, wave, okay?" Pethrun is just, "I wasn't expecting this, and you've answered all the 'are you sure's.' Uh, I guess any of the conversations we need to have, can happen on the road. One thing before we go. You know the wood elves here. Could you find me a pair of boots? There are these, and, well, I'm not giving up the socks. Uh, some of you might need the stealthy boots more than I will. I mean, Riswin maybe can be even more invisible. Or
And lo, Rissy shall disappear from everywhere.
Riswin's like, "Well, not to be offensive, but maybe we could give them to Darvin, who does occasionally sometimes have problems being quiet. It won't help with the times when it's not being sneaky, but it's a start." I'll go find some boots. They're magical, and I mean, I'm I'm sure they'll fit. He holds out a foot. Well, Clarity and I weren't the same size, and these fit perfectly. So whoever gets them should be fine with them.
I mean, they're magic. Maybe they adjust as you spend enough time wearing them.
Hopefully not too long either way, because I think Darvin's got bigger feet than I do.
Looking down. Ooh, yeah, ow.
Well, elf, lithe. By this point,
Yeah.
Bethan off finding a pair of boots. Comes back and he takes them off and remembers to represtidigitate his socks before he puts the old boots back on. I'll leave you all to decide who gets those. But if I can, on a lot of levels, I'll come back. If not, then I'll probably see you all again, either way. Thank you. For the name as much as anything. I think I'll keep it. I might add to it, but
Isn't that what all the best names are?
well, I'm not quite ready to take Hearth yet. But he gives a name. We never quite got the. It's all Tolkien Elvish that's been used thus far here, but it starts with Aaron, and those of you who speak Elvish or have the helm know it as Forest Forsaken, Family Found.
He.
And with that, exits the guest hut and is gone.
Well, damn. You know,
What?
I meant what I said too. I'm actually proud of him for making a decision and yeah, sticking with it.
Yeah, me too.
That was a thing? That was a very much a thing.
Well, I mean, most of y'all, none of y'all were there when I said what I said to him, and it was basically find a way to deal with whatever it was he was having to deal with. And from what he said, it was a lot deeper and more intense than I thought. I feel kind of bad about that, but I was also exceedingly frustrated at the time. So, and he needed to hear it, obviously. But yeah. So yeah, he did do exactly what I what I said, though, in absolutely not the way that I thought he was going to do it. So, well, anyway.
Well, come on, it's not like we expected him to have the option of um, undying quasi-service to a servant of Nerul.
Yeah, that's not exactly something that rolls off the tongue, you know.
Well,
Or it is
you better make it. You're the singer bard. I'm the dancer bard.
fair. It's not exactly something you see on a signpost, you know. Help wanted. Yeah.
Help wanted. Guide of the dead from beyond reality.
I think that's her job. He's more apprentice, intern, something. I don't know.
That makes it even more. That makes it even more Aaron.
Well, you know, it at least it is something he picked. It's not like, you know, we'll get you out of here if you swear service. It's no.
Yep.
Kept moving forward, like I told him.
So anyway, well, So
Well, next, yeah.
yeah, what next?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Beyond actually food and a good night's sleep, because sorry, but still ow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
food and a good night's sleep is
Yeah.
priority one. But before we all go sort that out, just want a very quick rundown of things we might have to think about doing. Going back to Elvenwild Central over there to sort things out. I still owe them, for example, the half elves. Um, Heading straight for Cedar Grove or Black Crown, or going home and to Barons and to the and out of Baronsveer to go recruit mercenaries.
You don't. Well, sorry to interrupt you, Darvin, but just to give an immediate bit of, I, I said I think it probably got missed, but I said I had a way of getting a message to Kizzy. I did
Ooh.
that the night you all agreed. Depending on how they did, I mean, you can't get an airship over those mountains, but you can get an airship or a regular seafaring ship around. They could be there already.
Thank you.
Look, I know I'm not great with the speaking words of that type. It's probably one of the banes of Ree's life, but I do kind of love your family. I'm not gonna waste a second if it's gonna get those child killing assholes out of Goldendale.
Right. Well, that just puts us in how we go crash territory. Am I right?
Not quite, because you were right when you said we need to discuss what to do next, Darvin.
The other thing I was going to flag up is we've got more than just Black Crown. We've got more than just the Half Dragon. After everything we've been through, we're eliminating the white. We're eliminating the green. As far as I'm concerned, we're eliminating them all. Chromatic, mind you.
No complaints from me.
Which means that we need to ask the Wood Elves here what's going on. They're
Exactly.
gonna know more about what's going on.
Mhm.
And they're also, given your prioritizing when we spoke to the High Elves, they've been fighting the Drow here.
Oh boy.
They
We know
said,
what Amavella thinks of us, but what about whoever Hazel, who actually rules the High Elves here?
to be fair, Hazel doesn't know.
You think I got told? Do you seriously think I got told who that would have been?
Remember, from what I've heard, Little Room. That was it.
Any of those rooms you guys were in?
And Risman's like, I was in a little tower room.
Basically that. Let's see what you were in. That was me. 5 years.
No wonder you like the sun so much. You didn't get a whole lot.
I do not want to be inside. No.
You walk in the sun. Hera.
Honestly, I don't know if we're going to get anything with any help from the High Elves.
Didn't sound that way.
But it's not.
But
It's not about help, though.
Mm.
It's about how deep their thing with the dragons goes.
right.
Even if they don't help, if they're not,
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I see what you mean by thing. My bad.
we need to
And
stop
we still
a
have
full-on
two whole
alliance.
half elves.
With the scouts coming back all battered and bruised but alive that last time.
And looking cowed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need to talk to the Wood Elves when we're less shook.
Right.
All right,
So,
then we'll deal with that in the morning.
yeah.
I
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I get the feeling they're probably gonna play hands off with us tonight. They saw the shape we were in when we came in. I mean, anybody they have to winch up in the stupid fucking hoist. I know, but
At
still.
least you actually had a good reason. I've just,
From what I've been hearing, you got bit in the ass. That's a reason.
true. I landed on my pride too.
He got bit in the ass by
Oh, and both
the
legs.
worst leeches.
I think I heard those things, but I managed to not be anywhere near them.
That place sucks.
Yeah.
Remy.
You just got Alice Creek.
You would know the most of all of us.
On the other hand, it is the site in which I kicked that fucking half-dragon bitch in the face.
I'm so proud of you for that.
Yeah, we spotted some of the aftermath of that. I had to resist the urge to cheer.
Okay, I have to ask what you think happened up until you found me. I really do.
We thought she was just taking you wherever.
And you basically kicked her in the face and flew. Were pursued. She couldn't keep it up as long. She stopped, and you kept going.
Well, she couldn't keep up. She couldn't keep up for starters. I mean,
Well, right.
She was well behind me pretty early on. Um, I I I I don't know if you found it, but I left a rock.
Yes.
Found the rock.
Yes,
I
we
didn't know
did.
I could do that.
We found the rock. We also, yeah, once we registered that everything had gone, I guess, off for her attempt to plane shift, and followed you into where you were, I had a feeling that, well, you'd certainly done something. I didn't know it was boot to the face until we found the result of boot to the face, but
Well, I really didn't want to give her a chance to take me anywhere else, but the only reason I was still where you found me was I saw that thing with the claws and too much face. But well, Ziriel told me to hold my ground. I guess he knew you guys weren't that far behind.
He did.
Ah.
Yeah, you got a lot more mileage out of the tracking thing than I thought you were gonna.
He gave me a little bit of help there to make sure we would find you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
apparently, just for information's sake, that thing. What was it? Was it the hunger? One of those two. That's what that thing apparently was called.
Well, it was certainly
Walking
that.
blasphemy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm also having the, okay, fine. He's a celestial, but I actually have a parental figure who kind of cares. That's just weird.
Behold, you have
Given
a
your
dad.
experiences, I think that's probably weirder than getting gnawed on by whatever the hunger, whatever that thing.
Dude, dead by dragon. It's gonna take a lot to top that.
Fair.
Yeah, she's gonna get chewed on by probably everything, and it's not gonna compare to chewed on by a dragon.
Well, no, the dragon never chewed me.
Big. Yeah.
Well, there was that. There was also the attempt at setting you up. Dragons versus you is a whole thing.
Yeah, not. Let's leave us split no hairs. That wasn't an attempt. I was actually on fire. Believe me, you know when you're on fire.
I
It's
mean, I
not
guess we're just
something
sort
you
of
miss.
we're poking at the specifics of my wording at this point.
Yeah, because we figure you'll learn how to words correctly if we keep poking.
Maybe.
You see, from what I'm hearing about you and Mount Palor, it's not just about loading you up and running the energy off. Sometimes it's actually teaching.
Yeah, Lara is better than Mount.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I really wasn't aware of. Okay, gotta ask the humans in specific, because I know anyone with elven blood is a bit better about this, but uh, can you guys see in the dark?
No. We use a drifter.
Oh, so it's not that. It's because it's not a human thing. Okay, that's something else that I didn't realize was a thing. Okay, sorry.
You can see in the dark?
Yeah, I
Oh.
kind of figured everybody could, but I guess that's another reason my parents sent me on break-ins when I was small. Okay. There's stuff about being me that I didn't really understand.
Oh, we're all learning, and isn't that the best thing?
Yeah, I just wonder what happens the more I learn, because having direct conversations with godly things has not been a okay. It's probably going to be more of a factor in my life upcoming, but it's I don't know what else I have to look forward to manifesting. I can cast light on things. When the hell did that happen?
You don't know. I mean, if you start exhibiting any other appearance-based things that the various hosts of the gods have.
Maybe we can find a high cleric of Palor once we're back in Belarus eventually.
Well, either that or I one day I really would like to hit the Heavens Ward. I think if anyone's gonna know, it's gonna be them.
Hopefully before anything like, say, glowing rings pop up around your head.
What?
Hold on. I'm gonna attempt to sketch an angel.
Okay, I'm
On whatever bit of scrap I can find.
uh I guess I'm just gonna have to ask for Dex. You don't have any kind of proficiency in anything like this.
That's what I get for being a cleric.
It was more about your background than anything else. Of course, you now have Rizwin pulling out her own little sketchpad and just
15.
natural 19 from Rizwin. So yours is it's not quite stick figure-ish, but it's the glowy just kind of looks like spikes. Meanwhile, you have Rizwin turning her notepad around and going, "Is this more what you're thinking of?" And it
Thank
is
you,
more,
Rissy.
and it is more the kind of halo you would generally expect to see. Uh, uh okay. I'm sorry. I'm watching Froseth's facial journey. Because it's easier than thinking about this. Sorry. What? Please explain.
That's like that's like half him, but half me running off like 4 hours sleep.
No, but it still makes sense. At least
Yeah.
Great journey.
At least partially because he's had a bit of a hard day as well. So
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just thought, come on, this is Alice A just going, okay, this is a bit much to deal with. Let's focus on the Dragonborn facial journey. Because it's easier. It's more helpful to me than considering that I might manifest glow.
He has, okay, that is fair. He has the best facial expressions of everybody here.
Well, he has more face.
Yeah, I was about to say he has more face to do more with.
Ugh.
I don't know how to respond to that.
It's a good thing. It's look, when you smile, the whole room knows it. Okay, some might be a little bit afraid of the teeth, but the whole room knows it.
Glorious sparkly teeth.
Rage. Pat, pat, pat.
So yeah, we've got questions to ask tomorrow ish, and at the very least stumping back into the area we just left to fulfill my end of, and I'm pulling out the key and shaking it a little. This.
We're not that. How far are we from the? We can't be that far from the castle place.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. We're probably in some kind of a scouting outpost or
we
something.
didn't go that far. I mean, I don't know that we could have gone very far last night, but no, we didn't go very far.
No. The reason I say is because I traveled a long way, and we traveled a long way in the Shadowfell, but you guys couldn't have been that close on my trail if you'd had to travel through whatever thin spot we came back through from.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all the stuff, right? You have my axe.
Yeah. It was the only thing. We after giving up all the weapons, that was the one that was still in my bag.
That's very true, and I am the one who flagged it up. It's just I happened to notice that you seem to be almost cuddling it.
Yeah, well, it kind of saved our butts, and then helped save your butt.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing with that. That's not where I was going. Do calm down.
I am though. Just
Where
tired.
where I was going with that was you have the look of a person who is thinking they might want to keep it.
Well, I wanted to wait until you were better rested before asking.
Well, I may as well get this out of the way. It's not like I have to move or anything.
Yeah, fair point.
Look, just as long as somebody who needs it more gets it if that time ever comes. That axe is one that goes to someone who really needs it to protect someone who really needs it. That's how I got it. That's how you have it now. Gonna have an
Yeah.
issue with the shield though.
Yeah, here's hoping I can do this thing justice. As to the shield, I think I know someone who could get some value out of it. I'm going to sort of just drag it off of where it's hanging, walk over to Ava, hold it up, and just sort of tap her on the head with the flat. This is yours.
Shield?
Well, you carry a sword now.
Yeah, it's not as though anything you're trained in really prevents you from using a shield. Anyone can use one of these so long as you hold it up between you and something else. That's kind of where most of my skill comes from. It's not training. Remy has training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously can't use it when you're, dealing with the bow, but yeah, with the sword, seems like a good idea to me. Better than nothing.
Okay, I guess.
Plus, it would make you infinitely harder to hit.
I mean, I've already got the cleric, but
Yeah. Oh, that's a good thought. And given that it's gonna be a little bit of a wiggle sorting, swapping between Bo and Darvin only has
It might be better for
druid.
him, yeah.
I've tried to give it to him before.
You did?
I've offered.
Maybe you were doing it while being you.
That's
Probably.
certainly a possibility.
Probably. Let me take another look at it, and I'll figure it out.
Because you do only need the one hand to do spells most of the time, so long as you're playing instruments.
Yep.
You know.
Sometimes I can just make a sound and it'll work. So it depends
Well,
on the spell.
also, Wooden Shield, you got that Lenark guy. Maybe
Oh yeah.
maybe you can convert it into more of a buckler that you can strap on, so you
Mm-hmm.
can have the rapier in one hand and cast with the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and even if you can, at the very least, you can probably fancy it up a little. Oh come on, this thing would look great with some nice filigree.
Baron of Bling.
The shiniest of us next to the Dragonborn. And you, because you literally glow.
Actually, given the conversation that you guys have been in general having, make me a perception check. Yeah, Rizwin hasn't known long enough to notice.
21.
11.
Perception.
17.
And it
5.
Furseth is
That's a natural one. That's
Hazel, Darvin, and sorry, Hazel, Froseth, and Ava are just A, too tired, and B,
Ava's just too relieved.
yeah, probably all things considered. Darvin and Remy, Darvin in particular, because he was just talking about, spiffy it up and filigree and that kind of thing, and you guys actually stand back a bit and actually look at Alice. Because you know how you spend that much time with somebody and you don't notice the changes when they're gradual? So you kind of blink at somebody one day and go, okay, I didn't notice that. But yeah, the hair, when you first met her, could have been mistaken for natural, very light, sun-bleached blonde. No, not anymore. Now it really does look like somebody actually spun it out of sunlight and white gold, and it almost seems to glow. Very, very faintly, but it almost does. And the eyes are much more of a... It's a blue you don't find in human eyes. It's actually closer to the color of Froseth's.
Remy leans over.
Not that I'm not happy about the proximity, but... Hi?
Hi. Gives her a look and then settles back.
Okay.
And Darvin's just got a look on his face that I want to say something, but after that exchange, sort of like not going to.
Yeah,
At least not unless prompted. Just sort of.
well, what you've got is Alice looking at Remy, looking at Darvin, and then just sort of going, okay, I've mostly eaten my food, and if as much of it as I could keep down, because pain not that much for the appetite. I am gonna crash, and if you guys want to have a conversation and decide what the hell it is you're looking at me for, uh, if you don't want to say anything, fine. Yeah. Just flumps back into the cushions and pulls one of the pillows over her head and out.
I just kind of scooch over to Remy a little. Just sort of lean over. She looks more her.
Radiant.
Something like that. But yeah. Okay, it wasn't just me then. Good. Okay, just
No.
nothing bad. Just sort of one of those like, huh? Okay, moments.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If
Okay.
if Hazel is actually probably hearing some of that conversation, she was sitting close enough, and you guys were talking effectively about she's finding out more of what she is, so unlocking makes sense.
And I'm just going to swivel and sort of look at Irvin.
Yes.
Ears.
Speaking of ears, Flitty comes out of the Flitty bag and nips Hazel on hers. Words, not threats!
Thank you, Flitty. Love you too. Anyway.
If you don't use your
Oh,
words and if you keep threatening him, I'm gonna steal your hair bow.
yo!
Oh!
Yeah, depending on
It's.
who's understanding the Sylvan, it's you are just getting his Hazel going no in response to me.
I think no of that caliber is pretty well universal. Sorry, not to risk metagaming there for a moment.
No. Let's face it. Any language you can tell. Yes. And, do cheerful Flitty. I win.
It's just meeping noises are now being emitted from a Hazel.
It's nothing. Don't worry about it for now. We'll talk later. I'm going to pass out and promptly finds a comfy spot somewhere and does exactly that.
Yeah,
Same.
basically there's a couple of places for more the wounded that are just platforms with cushions and furs that will serve as sleeping spots. Remy can curl up with Alice if she wants to. There's enough space. All the rest is hammocks. And Rishwin just sort of climbs into a hammock with absolutely no problem whatsoever, and she just. Oh, this is
I'm
fun.
going. I'm going to make use of the infinite bread basket thing and some of the jam and have myself a brief snack, and then going to attempt to hammock.
Dex check. No problem.
This is awkward, but it works.
No, slightly swinging. It's actually kind of nice.
Looking at the floor, looking at the hammock.
Well, not just the floor. There is another pallet or two with cushions
Oh.
that you could. That's why I said
I'm
there's
gonna-
a couple
okay.
of them.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, then I'll on one of those. 'Cause after the experience trying to climb up that damn ladder, I'm not trusting it until I get some sleep.
Remy nudges Alice very lightly to see if she's still awake, but she's crawling up.
She kind of rolls over to give Remy a bit more space, but that's just sort of the mostly asleep. Yeah, fine, whatever.
She'll save her for later, then. Go to sleep herself.
Yes. Morning happens with I think it's mostly Furseth and Riswin who'll wake up to the faint noises of people moving around outside. Apparently they're going to wait until you guys make an appearance before they do anything, but the door opens just a little bit and they shove in various bits that are apparently breakfast fixings. Everybody else at this point is basically, if you've got the kind of massively high passive perception that Rizwin and Furseth do, you'll notice everybody else is dead to the world. Dawn prayers, unfortunately, are not a thing that's happening today. I'm fairly sure that people's various gods will understand.
Yeah, just many level fucking crashed out.
Yeah, so Rizwin sort of peeks her head out from the hammock, looks over at Furseth, and is sort of going, "Should we wake them up, or should we try to have some breakfast ready for them when they wake?" You're muted.
How's that?
Yes.
Okay. They could use the extra rest, I think.
Oh, then we'll try and put some breakfast together then. Rolls out of the hammock. Let's see what they brought. So yeah, various people wake up to basically boiling eggs, roasting sausage, and apples baking. And what Hazel recognizes as acorn flour bread.
Are there cake? Whoa! Are there cake pans?
No, sorry, we don't really have the bits for cake pans, but we have boiled eggs, and there's sausage that I think is venison, and there's this really interesting bread. Definitely not wheat flour, but also we had some apples, and I did what Mom used to, and grated some cinnamon, and there was a little bit of honey and a little bit of maple, so I put that in the middle, so it's all going to be quite sweet and sticky.
There is food! Yay! Okay, how do I get out of this
Hazel,
thing?
Hazel being loud, just as Alice say, going, "Oh, we have morning. Uh, Paylor, really sorry about missing dawn prayers. I really needed to sleep."
Remy rolls out belatedly.
Hazel getting out of hammock. Dex check, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of you two are fine. First, in particular, it's yeah,
15.
you thump a little, but not too bad. But yeah, Froseth just got a fairly extensive dexterity increase, so he can do what he wants.
Don't monk shit.
You could probably
That
technically
comes through.
parkour off a couple of walls and then just land in the hammock bunk.
I think that's next level. I'd be able to do that without a check.
Yeah. Darvin just sort of opens one eye, sniff, 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 heard the exchange between Rizwin and Hazel, and goes and just sits up.
It's that Mulan dragon. I live.
Yeah. But then he gets all the way up, and then you hear pop, and he's okay, that's better.
Wow, your back has ceased to agree with you.
No, it's fine now.
I
go.
think she wanted to do the back popping thing for you again.
Nope, I'm good.
I'm going to just beeline over to him and want to medically examine or poke at his back.
Nope. I'm good.
What?
Food.
Food, then popping?
If somebody still has my pack, they can get out the coffee if they want.
Oh,
Who would have had that?
That would be Remy.
Remy.
Probably. Either that
Remy?
or they left it down in the cart.
Oops.
no, Remy. Knowing Remy. Knowing Remy, she would have grabbed it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I gave the scimitars to Rizwin, but
Yeah, more than actually they gave Alice scimitars back to her on the way out of. But the reason that Remy would have taken Alice's kit before they got onto the winch is because she was still wearing that dress, the
Mm.
meeting family dress,
Mm-hmm.
and it is halfway destroyed.
Aw.
So she finally sort of sits up and oh fuck. I don't think prestidigitation and mending is gonna help this.
No.
Oh, I like this dress. Eh.
One more thing to look into when we eventually get to Belarus.
Honestly, yeah. No, I just sorry. Reflex. I look at that and I wonder what my father could do with it.
She shows the fairly deeply ingrained blood stain and about half of a chunk of sleeve missing.
Recall that
Rags.
was the dress she was in when there was
Dust
chewing.
rags. Probably.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Before I change into anything else, I don't want to prestidigitate me. I think I might want to, after we've eaten, ask if there's any place I can get a wash. Appetite's back though. Sort of grabs a sausage for lunch.
I'm gonna get a plate of food for myself and grab a extra sausage and be like, "Hey, Flitty, I'm not."
Sort of clambers out of the bag and then just does a sort of dive, grabs hold of the sausage, and because not very strong, is hanging from the sausage.
Wobble, 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 wobble.
I will carefully set Flitty down with the sausage.
No. So yeah, breakfast. Any conversation to be had over breakfast?
Hey, Alice.
Mm?
Just wanna say I'm sorry about how it went down.
Don't be. If it was anybody, it was better if it was me. Between us two, look. Ava has Cedar Grove kind of in her hands at the moment. She's the reason that it can't be turned yet. She can't fly. I could get away. I don't know where they would have taken me. I don't know where they would have taken you. But I survived. You're okay. Cedar Grove's not going to get tainted to the heart anytime soon. Because if it could be, without you handing it over, it would be by now.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel bad about it, okay? You came after me.
Who said it? Eureka, remember?
Yeah, I know. I haven't had a shower yet. Shut up. Somebody had to say it, and I really didn't want it to be Darvin. Look, lack of shower or not, sorry, this has to happen, and hug. It's okay.
I'm just glad you're back.
I'm glad I'm back too. So, you see, all's good. Have an apple, they smell really good. Yeah, they really are just sort of, warm, cinnamony,
Sticky
sweet,
sweet.
baked apple things. So, we talked to the people here and ask them what's going on, I guess.
Yep.
After I've had a shower, because I really don't want to miss this. And Brisbane, to be fair, I think anyone who got bitten by anything could probably use one. It might make you feel a bit better.
I was actually probably going to say the same thing.
Or if Roseth didn't want to wait, I'm sure that if there's a stream or something nearby, the cold wouldn't bother you.
Yeah.
But yes, we heard them saying that they were going to wait for us to make an appearance before they troubled us any. They seem to understand that we've had a bit of a situation and are being generous about it. But we should probably finish our breakfast and make our presences known.
Hmm.
Given that we're now short a wood elf, Hazel, it might actually be down to you.
Oh boy.
You're the most elvish of us. Maybe if you're done with breakfast, you can sort of come out a little bit before us and get the
Yeah.
idea of where showers are and where we might need to go to speak to people and all that sort of thing. So we don't overwhelm them all at once with us being us.
Yep, here goes nothing. And I'm going to get up and head towards, towards out, going,
Hazel,
Paler, help, Paler, help, 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 help,
Hazel?
help, help, help.
don't forget, short, concise, to the point.
But
Okay?
but also friendly. Just be
And friendly,
yourself.
yes.
Be yourself and don't panic. If they didn't like you, they wouldn't have let us stay here.
Fair point.
Calm. Look, you've had the best luck of anyone in terms of finding a place to stay. Places you should have been booted out of. Some of you pissed Emil off no end. We spent a night in a farmhouse with the yelling and the taking off and the something about a roof and I don't even, but if we didn't get thrown out of that, I'm pretty sure you're our lucky charm as far as that goes. Actually, technically, it's true. A part of her background is, in fact, that feat
That
that
whole
lets
thing,
you
yeah, it's
find
great.
that feat that lets you find shelter just about anywhere.
That's handy.
Is how you guys can be such utter dipshits and still not get booted out of inns. I'm just saying. Anyway, yes. Hazel exits, and the first thing that she finds is she can basically feel people watching, and then there's like an 8-year-old wood elf with a blink dog puppy following along at his heels, patting up and going, "Oh, you guys are awake.
Yeah, a
Hello."
little. We're still a little squishy and gross, but we're awake.
I didn't think any of you were undead.
No, not undead, squishy and gross. Just we had a day, and there were several back-to-back messes that we
Oh,
had to that we got into, and then out of, and then into another one.
uh, so okay. Let's start this from the beginning. What do you need?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was you just trying to lighten the mood a little before I got to that. We just need a way to clean up and to know who to talk to.
Well, I've been sent to basically tour you around if you need to, but uh, and the elders are going to want to speak to you, obviously, all of you, because you came out of the palace, and that's not all. Information from there is usually pretty good because we don't usually get it as much. I mean, we had the scouts come and report, but a lot of what they said didn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're kind of hoping that since you guys were deeper in, you might know.
Yeah, I hope we can provide things any more sense than what Scouts reported. Because, yeah, as I said, it was kind of messy.
Well, you probably have more context, is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
So, my name is Bannon, and this is Cal. Points at the blank dog puppy, who's is kind of doing the butterscotch thing of straining, going, can I get hugs? Can I get pets? Can I get pictures?
And I'm going to kneel down and just go, arms open.
Woomph! Lick, 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 lick. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cal's a little affectionate.
And I'm just providing scritches while, trying to not be completely coated in drool.
That is not working. You are completely coated in drool. Because this is a puppy, a very enthusiastic puppy.
So we've gone the full like the full German Shepherd, where limbs and ears and everything far too long for its body, and still made out of enough mass to knock a person flat on their back.
It's still a bit small for that, but you can very much see, when the ears are too big and the paws are too long and the tail is too long and the body is too skinny and it's just this gangly, adorable floof.
It's a projectile on stilts.
And there's at least 40 seconds of squirm, lick, 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 squirm, lick, 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 until Cal, heal, and blink right back at this guy's. Sorry, I should have told you to brace yourself first. Both when he turned up and when he blinked out. So, if you want to gather people, I can show you to the bathhouses. Well, bathhouse.
Yes.
I'll wait here. I'll wait here.
Thank you. I'm gonna wrangle.
Yeah, so Hazel comes back inside, face kind of soggy, hair kind of soggy. You know when a dog gets really enthusiastically licking and all the bits of hair, the fringe is kind of in
What
soggy
did you run
spikes.
into?
Our tour guide.
What?
You're
Very moist tour guide.
Well, the actual tour guide is a kid named
Bannon.
is a kid named Bannon, and the Soggy is from his blink dog, Cal.
That makes much more sense.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense.
A little bit.
Yeah, okay.
And well, once we're all set, we're gonna get led to, well, apparently the bathhouse to get cleaned up.
Yay.
Definitely.
Did you mention anything about who you talked to?
We're gonna talk to their elders and hopefully provide more context for the things the scouts reported, because apparently that made absolutely no sense because we came out of the palace.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, the scouts didn't see all that much. The only one that did was Bethrina, and she's not around to make a report anymore.
Yeah, the only one who was able to make the report, as you just mentioned, kind of transcended physical existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's never gonna stop being weird.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, that was my reaction. I was about to be like, as one does,
Come on, some
Let's
some
go.
some, some of this dress is actually stuck to me with dried blood. This is gonna be fun.
Let me help you.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a lot of care and a dagger in some places. So yeah, out they go, and there's Bannon. Yeah, it's a almost as gangly as the puppy, really. Dark hair and kind of mostly short, but kind of doing the faux hawk thing. Braided on either side to keep it from floop down, and just dark skin, surprisingly tailored leathers, all things considered, because most people think wood elves and they think sort of patched together things, but this is the kind of thing that your father would have been proud to call. It doesn't hold a patch on some of the things you found in the wastes of around Alzor High, but given what they seem to be working with, it's pretty good shit. And this is a kid wearing it. You got to imagine what the hunting leathers are like. Hello.
Hey.
I don't
Hello.
know. I don't know if your friend told you. I'm Bannon. This is Cal. Just puppy. I mean, he's sitting still but vibrating, kind of, in that Hazel kind of way.
I look at him. I look at Hazel. I look at him. I look at Hazel. I look at him. I walk up and go, lean down, and go hug.
And you are getting face washed. Cal, heal, blink, and Darvin nearly falls over. Sorry, that one I didn't warn you because I thought it'd be funny.
No, that's fair. That was hilarious. Well done. Well played.
Even little Cal looks supremely pleased with himself.
And then Sylvan, I go, hey, Cal, what else has Bannon taught you to do?
Can Furseth make me a strength save, please?
Oh no!
Strength. Oh.
Where are you going now?
That's good. 21.
Cal only just about fits, but blinks directly on top of Furseth's head. Blink! And there's sort of the neck kind of. What? Sorry!
Oh dear.
Cal, heal! Blink, back.
You did good with the training on that one.
Hazel, let's not ask any more dumb questions.
My mother's the packmaster of the clan, so we do all the training. Cal's mine.
Cal's adorable.
You are awesome. Cal is adorable.
Alice says, like, because we've been much more interested in you and Puppy, we'll do some introductions on our end. I'm Alice. This is Remy, Crestwind, Paladin of Tritherian. Hazel Hearthheart, Cleric of Palor, Darvin Taylor, Singy Bard Extraordinaire, Furseth Rhymehook, Monk, Way of the Four Elements. That's going to be terrible, lots of fun, given that we're sort of air and earth more or less in the same clump here, so that must be interesting for him. The kid looks absurdly pleased at providing that experience. And I think I'll stick with Ava for the time being. And Riswin Hearthheart, jeweler and everybody's favorite sneaky little dwarf. And you just get risen. Oh, thank you. And
She'd be small, she'd be sneaky, she'd be fierce.
Also really, really cute. Yes, thank you. I was kind of hoping for that addition as well. And as you can see, I at the very least really need to clean up. Hazel mentioned something about a bathhouse. Oh, yeah, sure. We kind of thought. I mean, we saw you coming up the winch. And yeah, we're sorry we didn't greet you before, but you seemed to have a bit of a time of it, and we thought we'd let you settle down before you tried to talk to people.
Much appreciated.
Very much.
So many thank yous.
I'll show you to the bathhouse. Come on. And off they go. There's the trees that they've built this settlement in are vast, and while you do get some sunlight because you're kind of in sort of the upper canopy, it's pretty clear that if for those of you who can look down from the walkways, you can see that it would be, apart from those well-concealed ladders, really difficult to see the ground from where you are, and thus vice versa. People wouldn't necessarily know this place was here, which is probably just how they like it. But yeah, they've built a. It's sort of somewhere between a scout outpost and a village, and you sort of head up a couple of ramps and walkways to a room similar in size to the one that you guys spent the night in. There's it's higher than the one, and bits of the roof seem to poke up from the upper up into past the canopy. Basically, what happens is we collect rainwater through there, and various spots over there heat it, and it's not so much a sit down in it bath, but it's like, of course, you guys know about showers because you guys have been in Egref and Belarus, both of which do them, but this one apparently doesn't know there's a whole other world where plumbing happens. And so
Showers.
I guess that's actually a really good word for it. Yeah, because it's like really warm rain. And we thought it was really clever. Other people do that?
Yeah.
Not as cleverly as this.
Yeah, no, this is. I mean,
It's not grown. We can't. It's not like part of the whole thing with a collector or anything. A lot of that's mostly pumps and metal,
So yeah, no, it's
bringing water up from down rather than in from up.
Similar idea, but not as cleverly executed. Yours is quite.
We have a couple of druid and somebody who studies a bit more with the actual book things that help with the pressure, but we wouldn't do anything with metal and things. It hurt the trees.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is why this makes much more sense up here.
So yeah, we have little rooms you can kind of screen them off, and they're screened off from each other. Not a whole lot of privacy, but it's really just there to get washed, get changed. There's enough for all of you. Hang on, let's think about this one. One of you is probably going to have to wait unless anybody's sharing a little room.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be two people sharing.
If nothing else, I need to get out of this thing, and I don't think I'm going to do it on my own. Yeah, looks at Remy, looks at Alice. I'm trying to figure out if congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
Honestly, at this point, I'd say it's accurate.
Well, I just don't know if the proper ceremonies have been performed.
Anyways.
I know all of them, by the way, Remy.
Thank you, Hazel.
I don't think you know all of them. We have our own. You're a cleric.
Right,
You
yes.
probably know the. And Alice is like, no, believe me, you really don't know all of them.
Yeah, fair point. There are I know the ones that are marked by tradition in Paylor situations.
You know all the faith ones. Some of us know the other fun ones, but let's one thing at a time, okay? She realizes what she said just as this kid goes, "Oh, so you haven't? I mean, if you want to, kid." I'm just making the offer. Besides, it's important to know, because the elders are going to want to know if there's any specific honorifics, and there are honorifics that happen when there's a pair bond. I'm gonna let you guys shower now. I'll come back for you in 20 minutes, okay?
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, that happened.
yeah, that happened.
Darvin's deliberately not saying anything. Just can't stop grinning. and is just going to quickly walk himself into one of the rooms before Alice sees that grin, and he gets in big trouble. So he's just sort of.
Thankfully, she has missed it because she is looking kind of woefully at the dress that is only going to be useful for rags and bandages when she's done with it. So we're at about the halfway mark. So leave it at uh showers happen. The soap actually reminds Hazel of the stuff that her mama makes. It's all, you know, homemade all the way through, smelling of wake up herbs and general. It's the smell that to Hazel means clean.
Yeah.
And Alice, when she's out of the dress and is shredded, what bits of it are still halfway useful and prestidigitated the worst of the stains off it, hands the strips to Hazel and goes, "It's basically only fit for bandages now, so
More for the med kit.
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's a northern thing. We don't waste much."
Works for me. I'm still like dealing with all of this.
And after we've done all the important conversation stuff, I there was a look, and I'm gonna ask about it, but this other stuff is more important. Is looking between Remy and Darvin.
It's just that
No,
you've
the main reason that I'm having her say after we've had the important conversation is because we are at the break time now.
yes.
So we'll come back in 5 minutes and not go into that, although I do want to have that conversation, just later. So I'll see you in 5 minutes, and various conversations of various bits of import will happen. And we're back. We have showered and made themselves presentable. Got into some clothes that are not stained, shredded, absolute nightmares. And 20 minutes after you were ushered into the showers, Bannon comes back, Cal still at his heel, going, "Oh, that looks better. Can I show you to the elders now?"
Yes, please.
Check
Yes,
so.
please.
And it's sort of down and then down through a fairly long spiral down into what is apparently the center of this little village and rather larger hut. Entering into there, you've got fairly large open space. Again, very well shielded fire in the middle of it because it's still winter, and more than half of you actually need something to keep warm. The other two just don't care. um, there's cushioned benches, mostly fur covered, and towards the far end of the room, 5 chairs in which 5 elves of varying age, but most of them look at least middle age from the humanoid perspective. 2 of them actually look quite elderly, which means they've got to be a couple 100 years old. Sit and I'll let you come in. Ah, welcome. Take a seat. He's from the elder woman, a similar sort of faux hawk to what young Bannon was wearing, but longer, still maintained with the 2 thinner braids, just to keep everything in place. Please take a seat. Introductions would be wonderful. We've been playing hands off a little bit to let you recover from your various adventures.
That's
We
appreciated.
appreciate the hospitality.
Thank you very much.
So many thanks.
I'm Darvin Taylor, bard by trade.
Alice A. Featherfall, also bard, but to differentiate, I'm a blade.
Remy Crestwind, paladin.
Sorry, that's entirely out of character. Bravo.
Hazel Hearthheart, Cleric of Palor.
Riswin Harthart, jeweler and professional sneak.
I am Ava Archer.
Not just an archer. Lady of the Woods.
Yeah, they probably know.
I'm gonna stick with Lady of the Woods. I like it.
Yeah.
Froseth Rhymehook, monk of the Way of the Four Elements.
Oh, welcome to you all. May we ask what brought you to that palace of stupid?
A failed attempt at getting help to deal with dragons.
So dragon problems aren't just here.
No.
There's
No.
one sitting on Black Crown. There's one sitting on Gray's Inn.
There was
There
one sitting.
was one sitting on Goldendale. That's dead.
is Alice's only comment.
And there's a half one in Cedar Grove.
Well,
The one masquerading
yes.
as pointing at Ava is the one masquerading as her is her half sister and is a walking, talking nightmare.
I have a feeling that the intricacies of the family relations coming to light to total strangers was not discussed with the Lady of the Forest before you opened your mouth.
not exactly, but I mean,
Yeah,
forthrightness
sorry,
as
Ava.
much as possible.
That was uncalled for on my part.
I can see why it's important to you as a group. While we appreciate that sort of thing, we're looking at more the basics as you have described them, as far as I can tell, and please correct me if I'm wrong. What we are effectively discussing is Baronsveer has had a dragon problem for longer than most people have known, and effectively there is a almost conspiracy of dragons right the way across the continent.
Sounds
Not
about right.
all the way across the continent. There's Equitas, which does not. Let's just say it doesn't have these problems.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd love to know their secret, but it also doesn't look like you're going to be explaining it anytime soon.
Anyway, point being, one of the things we came here to attempt to get help to deal with the dragons in Baronsphere, not in the process, but also frankly, the dragon here as well. Uh, One, because, well, I'm tired of them, personally.
This is just getting raised eyebrows from the small council of elders. Just
They
what?
have cost me friends and family, and I refuse to let them cost me anything else. And I refuse to let them cost anyone else anything else. But that's beside the point. Also, well, yeah, can we get that? What is the lay of the land as far as the green one that's here? Or if what do you guys know about it? Or can I ask? Is it is it is it rude to be asking that right now?
Stop. Stop.
Sorry.
You went like a few sentences further than you needed to.
Mm, that
Yeah,
doesn't
they're
matter.
I
all
did
they're
that
all just
already.
they're all just looking at him in a has he stopped yet? Can we talk now? Is this a thing? What is going on here? What is wrong with humans?
I'm sorry. That's him specifically. That's not everyone.
Sorry, I got a little heated there. I apologize.
Ava gives Hazel a bit of a look.
Well, that's
As
why
she,
she said it's him in particular, not. That's from Alice. That's why she was saying it's him in particular, not humans in general.
Oh.
and what?
She was actually being supportive of you. Because, I mean, come on. Look at Ree. Ree never says more than she needs to. Occasionally could probably do to use a few more words, but sometimes it's better than going too far the other way. Anyway, we are very sorry. We just tend towards the overexcitable. I can understand that because one of the things that they lost to dragons was, well, me.
And the dragons are very insistent on trying to make that stick.
Well, let me think. The the red, the green, the adult green, not the ancient green. Uh, few ice drakes with help. Significant damage on the Draco Lich and the young blue.
It's a bit of a list.
I've got the killing blow on all of them. The red I kind of soloed, so yeah, they kind of hate me. Well, okay. You're a good person to have on this, although I take it that's why you came up in the winch covered in blood. Kinda, yeah. You seem so blithe about this. Look, if I freaked out every single time I got injured with these guys, I'd never stop. Looks at you all. Gestures to Alice, like, what, really?
She does kind of dive into everything as head first as the rest of us. She just kind of attracts a lot more of the return fire. I don't even know
Does.
why.
Because
Comes
I'm
with
not.
the territory.
Yeah, because I'm not as well armored as Ree, so they figure they can actually take me down. Fuck that.
And then they
It's
regret
definitely
it because you just kind of start spinning and
Anyway, let's get back on the topic. Darwin did ask somewhere in there a pretty good question. We know the situation in Baronsphere, or most of it anyway. there might be some bits and pieces that we haven't managed to hear all of yet. Excuse me, but mention was made by your scouts of an ancient green nearby, and that bore out some research that Hazel did a while back. And we only have rumors and something about the High Elf scouts coming in looking defeated. Since we're kind of trying to help deal with the continental dragon issue, probably, gods help us all, taking it to Tiamat at some stage. What do you know? How can we help? What's going on? Somehow of all the things we could have expected from this situation, the last thing we would have expected was a multiracial adventuring band turning up to offer assistance. Sorry if we seem a little taken aback. Our neighbors have not exactly been the most helpful ever.
Meaning Cedar Grove, or meaning the
Meaning,
High Elves.
yes.
Okay,
All of it.
right. Well, hopefully some information has provided a bit more context as to why.
You see, one thing that we might wish to. This from the elder gentleman on the far end. Young sir, one of the things that I think you might be missing. We speak slowly, and we pause, not necessarily to allow interruptions, but to consider our words carefully. It is a lesson you might take to heart. To answer your question, mostly the green has been, up until recently anyway, the green has been largely quiet. When she takes from the High Elves, they have more of interest to her. They murder her scouts. We are more clever. We don't get caught. And what we have is, generally speaking, not of interest to a dragon of her type. However, a couple of weeks ago, I suppose, there was a roar that shook the trees for miles. The attacks got worse. We still managed to avoid it, but we believe, and this is simply a guess on our part because we don't exactly speak to our neighbors in their high palace, that they've negotiated not an alliance but a surrender. We don't know what form that's taken yet. That seems to be quite recent. As I said, up until very recently, it's just been murder, theft. We don't have many dealings with Cedar Grove. The High Elves, as they usually do, took up all their attention. We trade heavily with usually I believe they term it lower class members of High Elf society, mostly the half elves. A great deal of their wealth comes from exploiting our resources. But we've had issues of our own of late. The drow have been rather more active the last few months. It makes what little mining we do difficult.
All of this is unfortunately interconnected.
Uh, pardon me?
The drow being aggressive. We encountered a more friendly drow some time ago, and she explained how there was a corruption that's affected her people, and it's the same corruption that
It's being
we
manipulated.
faced.
Remy, in short, they're being manipulated by the dragons from above.
And
They
okay,
found a way
so
to control
actually,
that.
no. If you stop interrupting Ree for a minute, no. Your drow friend said that it was more that black sludge that we're. The reason that we haven't been bringing it up is because when it was with
Mm-hmm.
the high elves, it was kind of beside the point. But it sounds like you're having an issue that relates to that. Ree's
Mm.
right. The There's something extraplanar and worse than most of the evils that got chained up behind the divine gate that corrupted the drow, the dark dwarves, the dark gnomes, the ones that used to live underground. It's somewhere beneath. We think that Tiamat's trying to use that for its own purposes, which is where Hazel got it a bit confused.
No, sorry, it wasn't really confusion. I was just trying to not veer into the black stuff.
They they're getting attacked by drow.
Yeah, I'll explain it better later. I'm sorry. Okay?
I understand, particularly given what happened in the palace, but this time they need to hear this, unless you want corrupted elves from above rather than just from
Yeah,
below.
which is why this makes more sense to explain properly.
But that's something that we're dealing with later.
Mm-hmm.
I know how important it probably is if you're fending off drow, like, constantly. But right now, we've got the dragons because they're being driven by Tiamat. They're vengeful as hell, and they're gonna take the continent more than they already have. Have I covered the bases here? Looking at the rest of you.
Yeah, that's basically all of it.
Those are the most important parts.
Yeah, keeping it as simple as possible. Yeah.
Okay, first one's sort of going, well, that's actually a clearer explanation than I've managed to get so far, so thank you. I see. I mean, we unfortunately can't prioritize the dragon over the drow yet. Although if the high elves have surrendered to that green to the northwest, we may have to revisit that. Because of course the high elves know where we keep our primary city. We try to trade from here as much as possible, but we've had envoys. We've had that. Look at Hazel, that lady Emavela. There was clearly a word in there.
Yeah, sorry about her. I don't understand why she likes screwing humans so much, but at the very least, it led
It's
to
not.
people better than her.
It's not just human. Well, I don't. I don't. That's the thing. I don't think she enjoys having relations with humans. The high elves of the palace are possibly a little more. I'm sure there's a word, but in common I don't have it. Effectively, they will do anything to ensure their survival and their lifestyle. That includes offering additional perks to negotiations. I have a feeling that the Lady Amavela isn't given a great deal of choice.
She's still a lousy person.
I never said she wasn't.
If the green dragon is killed, do you think the high elves will be more amenable if we can talk a step above Imavela?
I think the best you can hope for if the dragon is killed is they go back to being up their own rumps, but not actively hurting anyone.
That'll have to be enough. Do you know where the dragon's lair is?
We have a pretty good idea. We try not to get too close, but our scouts make it their business to know.
That's certainly the priority that we have to deal with.
I'll say it's just. Sorry, are you suggesting we go and slay it? Her?
In its
Because
lair? In its lair?
Maybe not in its lair, but we have to do something.
Remy, remember, this isn't an adult. This is an ancient.
I
Remember
know
the
it's
spell-
dangerous.
My heart can start beating
Hazel.
again.
Remember the spells that the adult had?
Hazel, I get
No,
what you're
I'm
trying
just.
to say.
Let
I
her
don't think you do.
finish, Ray. Let her finish, Hazel.
We need to do something. That's all there is to it.
To be fair, at least, even if we do need to deal with this thing in its lair, we know how to handle a green dragon's lair. It'll be bigger, it'll be more powerful. I get that. At the same time, this is our fault. Guys, we killed her son. And she's been overly active ever since. The elderly gentleman at the far end looks at that expression on Darwin's face and says, "Don't worry, we understand it had to be done.
Just
Give us a little bit of credit, sir."
I'm sorry.
Point, and Alice turns back to you guys. The point is that, it's not ideal, but we're gonna have to start thinking bigger at some point. And if we keep arguing to ourselves that it's too big, it's too powerful, it's too much, we could keep doing it for years.
And if not us, who else?
Yeah. Well, no. The only question I have, literally the only question I have about taking out the green dragon is whether or not there is any way to choose the battlefield. If we can't, and we go in and we take it out in Slayer, fine. I'm fine with that. I don't care as long as it's dead. But can we stack the deck in our favor as much as possible? That was the only question I had.
We should
I
certainly
don't know if
try.
we can.
Okay.
Greens are super smart and very crafty. I don't think they'll.
Yet it's angry
It-
because we killed
So
its
it'll be a
son.
little dumber.
And
Sneaky as
it
well.
watched what we did the last time. The
That's true.
only advantages we have are the things that we've picked up since that fight, and the fact that we now have, well, Rizwin. Rizwin can't be predicted because Rizwin wasn't there.
That's true.
And, well, oddly enough, Aaron isn't. So that's also going to change our tactics and the group makeup, which is going to make things different.
I can think of one way we might be able to lure it out of its lair, but you're not going to like it.
No.
The only way I can think of
Mhm.
is calling it out.
Yeah.
And it can't
That's
be
the
Well,
you.
thing.
if it's us, yeah.
Well, it can't be
No.
any of us because you remember who cut the head off?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Being the
So
one
we'll
they're
s-
trying to kill.
Yeah.
It would give you guys a tax of opportunity.
At the very least, I think we'd still need some additional help, but that's a very good start.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was, I mean,
Because
yeah, I
most of
mean,
the reason why I'm concerned about its specific, you know, the fact that it's so much of a scale up is because it can't be just us. Because if it's just us, even with a plan, even with calling it out, we are still going to get demolished. And I, I don't. If I can't
cons-
risk losing any of you again. Okay?
Mm.
Like no, I can't deal with that.
None of us wants to lose anybody. But at some point, we're going to have to stop being, well,
This is what we were
soldiers.
called to do.
Exactly.
yeah, thank you. That puts it succinctly, Remy. Thank you.
That dragon is not going to get any weaker just waiting.
Yeah. And we're not going to get demolished because we're not going to be stupid.
But
Nah.
to a point, she's also kind of right.
Mm-hmm.
We're not we're not saying we won't do it. We're not even saying we won't do it soon. But our priority now is getting it away from here.
Mm.
So the wood elves who, let's face it, if the high elf society collapses, the wood elves are going to take up that slack. And frankly, they fucking deserve it.
Yeah. The wood elves and the half elves.
If the half elves decide to stay.
We're at, well, yeah, fair. I'm just in terms of people that deserve it.
I'm looking at the societal whole, not the
Yeah, fair.
individuals.
Okay, sorry.
You don't need to keep tacking shit on to everything everybody says, Darvin. Just saying. Look. We can't have this on the Wood Elves' doorsteps. What I think it might be best to do, if we can wrangle it, in or near Goldendale, the barony, not the town. After we've seen if any of the merc companies have arrived yet.
That's not a bad idea.
They might not be up for attacking because that'll also have them fighting on two fronts, but they might be able to provide some additional help. Weaken it, strengthen us. I don't know.
That was along. I didn't know the particulars, but that was along the lines of what I was trying to
Yeah,
go for.
you basically give a really vague, usually over-explained in all the wrong directions, gist, and I hammer it into something resembling shape. And Griswin pipes up with, well, all the best jewelry's made that way.
Yeah.
And turns to turns to the wood elves. I'm really sorry. We don't mean to be talking over you. This is the shit that happens. Well, you seem to be attempting to remove peril from our doorstep. So that's, in general, quite helpful. I think what you'll need from us, from the sounds of things, is on an agreed signal, someone to deliver your taunt. Well, you're not going to come back here and try to lead it that way, are you? You look terribly surprised by common sense and logistics, sir. How
I'm
long did it take you to get here?
I'm not exactly a tactical individual. I apologize.
It's watching the facial expressions. They are louder than most of your words, and that's saying something. See? Case in point.
Very accurate. Very accurate. Thank
You
you.
invest in a very fancy mask.
I'm sure that will be louder than even your facial journeys get.
Well, the best facial journeys are, and I'm gesturing to Frosa, his.
I see now. Yes. They're not as loud. They're much more pleasant to watch.
Aw.
And lo, we continue to be ridiculous.
You came rather close to death just yesterday. I imagine you'll need to laugh it off a little bit by now.
Yeah.
We'll give you a week to prepare. And then we will ensure that the dragon has a message. Looking at this individual, looking at Alice, something to the order of "Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough." Perfect. Yeah, I can live with that.
Pull out a piece of paper and jot that down real quick, because that's brilliant.
Add something about, we left your son's head to rot in the town square and used it to start a revolution. Let's see what we can do with yours.
That will definitely get her attention.
Oh,
Oh,
well
yeah.
played.
Very pissed.
And
Wow.
one of the younger wood elves is actually writing that down. Well, we want to make sure
Cool.
we word it correctly. If anything's going to get that dragon out of our territory and into yours, that would be it.
That's true.
So, is there anything else you need of us?
That's the most useful thing. We don't want to
You
put too
will
much
have
upon you.
a lot for us.
I understand that something was said about the palace half-elves.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, I kind of promised a way out for as many of them as were willing.
Listen, as far as I can tell, your barony and your town are under siege. That might be a bit difficult. We're having our own issues, but we need the warm bodies and don't mind the extra mouths to feed. Find a way to get them a message and send them here.
Okay.
And given the way they've been treated, even if a home they have to fight for is probably still preferable than being there.
In any case, we won't hold them against their will or anything. We won't draft them. It's
Right.
simply that it's not safe to send them to Cedar Grove right now, and from the sounds of things, your Goldendale wouldn't be that much better. At least,
Yeah.
at least they're in moderately familiar setting if they stay, and when things are a little bit safer on the grounds of travel, if for no other reason than the seasons, we can let them find their own way anywhere they want. With a few extra skills that they would have picked up with us that don't involve just being someone's servant.
Mm.
It takes the pressure off your town anyway. If any of them want to join you, we can send them in that direction when travel's a little safer. How does that sound?
That is perfect.
We'll send a scouting party with word from you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in particular we need to be looking for?
DM, I'm going to need a refresher as to who.
Doric.
That'd be Doric.
And Darvin remembers Taisha.
Yeah, and Taisha as well.
I'm assuming descriptions will be given.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
she's
then
yeah.
older fellow.
Mhm.
Kept an eye on me for ages, really.
I think we've seen him on some trade runs. Is very invested in our maple walnut cookies.
Yeah. Wait, those are yours?
We originated the recipe, yes.
Those are amazing.
Ah,
Those cookies were going here.
I see they wanted to treat the youngster without alerting the kitchen staff that such was happening.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Probably makes Hazel wonder where the plush owl bear came from in that case.
Wait a second. Into bag. Out comes the owlbear.
Ah, Sandre's work.
And I'm hugging it.
Yeah, you guys don't know where that came from. It's just plush owl bear.
It's just. This was mine.
David's got a
Hazel
plush dog, so
still
she's
is.
not bothered.
Yeah,
Well, it was mine way back when. I have now reobtained it. So it is very much still mine, yes.
And in fact, Butterscotch pokes his head out of Ava's back and sort of leaning in the direction of the plush owl bear. Like, friend? Why is the friend not moving? Why is the friend not moving?
I'm going
Reaches
to
out
take
a
one of the
paw
owlbear
and
paws and go bip, bip, bip.
looks at you, looks at it, looks at you, looks at it. Confused dog, head tilt.
Don't worry about it.
And my big smile in this was that was in character.
Yeah,
completely.
I know.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This is how we cope with stressful times. Can we put the plushies away, please?
Yep.
I mean, you're welcome to stay another day if you still need to recoup. How were you planning to get back? I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit more dangerous now. And if we're only giving you a week, that's not a short trip in this season.
We just need a door. Just a doorway with a door in it.
Given your wagon, you'll probably have to sneak back onto palace grounds for that. Use one of the stable doors.
Yeah, that should work.
Then that'll have to be nightfall.
Oh, we want to try to do it. Okay, yeah. Well, that'll be the quickest, yeah.
Alice sort of looks over and goes, it's still their cart.
Well, yeah, no,
And we replaced the horse, so...
I just was trying to figure out, okay, the door that we're going into, but versus the door we're coming out of, I didn't know if it was, I didn't know, magic.
It's magic, don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
I'm kind of hoping, given that this is one of Twilly's little innovations, that if we're opening a stable door, it'll use a stable door.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think of that. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to land in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah, that was my worry. Because I don't know. I've only seen it use and it was
regular doors.
Yeah, so
I
we just need a bigger door.
Yeah, bigger door will mean bigger door.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I've learned, at least about my own magic, is when you do it, it largely sorts itself out if there's any gray area.
Also, it's Twilly.
Yeah, well, that
Plus,
and
it's Plus, it's
and
mom, and
Hazel.
she's
I just, yeah. When you do it, you have faith it'll sort itself out. I just realized that. So yeah, that makes total sense.
To
Thank you.
yeah, but that to be fair, that's Remy's magic, Hazel's magic, my magic. What some of my magic anyway. Uh, I think wizard magic is more faith in the facts rather than generalized god faith. It's all about what you have faith in. You have faith in the music. I have faith in, well, mostly me, really.
That's fair enough. I hadn't made that leap. That
Uh,
makes sense. Thank you.
looks over at the council of elders. Sorry, do you want us to have this
yeah,
conversation in the guest hut until nightfall? Cause we're taking up your time here. That would be probably beneficial. Yes. We hope you return at some point to let us know that you survived this. But if you come down the ladder and meet our scouts at your cart at sunset, we should be able to sneak you to where things are. What's going bing?
That's my phone. Sorry.
That's okay. I just wondered whose phone was going bing this time.
because we try to mute our phones, and they still manage to
Somebody's
bleep.
phone, somebody's phone is always because basically every time one person goes, "Oh shit, my phone's gone noisy," and they remember to mute it, somebody else forgets because they never get calls during game.
Hmm.
Eventually, every single one of you is going to have this situation, and you're all going to remember to do so. But until then, I'll just deal with it. It's fine. Anyway, so yes, they're like, yes, please, we in the wake of some of this, we have a fair bit to discuss, but we will hope for a report from you all about how things went and what comes next, because you seem to know more about what's going on with Drow than even our oldest scrolls say, because all they've ever said is they were good once, or, they were normal once, some good, some bad, same as any race, and then they became what they are.
Hmm.
We haven't been able to find more than that, and you seem to know more about it, but right now, rather unfortunately, the dragons are a bit more immediate because the drow have been a problem for centuries.
Unfortunately, I don't know what there's to be done about the drow other than holding the line, at least for now.
There might be more later on, but it depends on how some other stuff we still have to look into goes. But just
Well,
to just to leave with a bit more hope than all you can do is hold the line. We've got a lot on our side that we managed to talk our way around because we're too busy being ridiculous. We'll see what we can do.
Hmm.
we'll make sure to have a report for you one way or another when we straighten this out.
Thank you. We'll see to meal fixings and leave you to your business. Not that we're not. We're trying to be good hosts, but admittedly, some of you in particular are a little overwhelming.
Sorry.
No, no, it's fine. It's just you have things to say, do, think, discuss. So do we. They don't always coincide, and our work supporting the village is something that we can't afford to have interrupted, however well-meaning it is. So, as I say, Bannon will ensure that you have fixings for various meals and meet our scouts at your wagon at sundown.
Understood. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Alice gets up, sketches a curtsy, and heads for the outside.
Yeah, Darvin just gets up silently and bows and quickly walks out.
I'm going to sort of amble out after everybody. And making sure everyone progressively
Yeah, Froseth bows.
makes their way out.
Remy does the same.
And back to the guest hut, at which point Alice just, okay. Quickly, before we get into anything too logistically, you, Darvin, there was a look.
Yeah, you just.
Oh yeah, no. We just noticed you. Well, I think I put it. You look more you. But I think
Discuss-
Remy, you said. Oh, you said radiant. That's what it was.
I know I've surely said that before, but it's a different sort of radiant this time. It's still good.
You mean it? Okay. Leaving aside the potential blush-worthy compliment thing, I think the word you might be looking for, maybe, possibly, is celestial.
Yes.
You approach it. You're starting to veer further towards Rissy's sketch than initially.
Okay, I don't know what to do with that.
Your hair color, it's shifting. Your eyes a little bit too.
Well, maybe it's
Do they have a mirror of some kind on me?
probably.
Yeah, now you notice. Now you point it out.
And I don't look at me all that often, so maybe it's a state of mind thing. I'm coming more. I mean, I used to think I was human. Weird human, but human. I know I'm not anymore.
Maybe.
Never was, but
You've realized that you're not. Yeah, you've realized that you're not a. Yeah, you're not a human. So much that you.
it's letting everything else out more, I guess.
Yeah, more you.
Very much more you, and I'm pretty sure Remy appreciates.
Of course.
Yeah, okay, that helps. I just don't know what to do with that. I really don't. And if
I mean, there is going by way of what the what Bannon was mentioning. Certain ceremonies.
Hazel? That's the them thing. If
I'm just bringing it up. The
Yes,
choice is theirs.
Hazel, we know.
Let them do that.
I'll say grabs a pillow and wham right across Hazel's face.
I roll with it and just and let myself get dropped like a sack of potatoes.
And that's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Slightly muffled. I've been here before, and I will be here repeatedly.
Don't make me dangle you off a walkway, Hazel.
Oh!
Because I can pretty much guarantee you haven't been there. And you like new experiences. What happened to I need to try this?
I think you might have actually found something a little too spicy for Hazel.
Oh God! You think I'm gonna die?
Oh dear.
Now that that's adequately changed the subject. Any other conversation anybody wants to have happen? Anything anyone wants to do?
I just
Go ahead.
you were starting
Nope.
first. Go.
Smeagol, just start.
I'm just gonna once there's a calm moment, like go ask Bannon for a tour, like around, just what he thinks is interesting.
Okay. Anybody want to go with Hazel on that one? Alice's going.
I'm ready.
Yeah, Froseth will.
Yes, actually, thinking again on it. Yes.
Well, I guess everybody else is going.
Ah, the delights of peer pressure.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
gonna
mean-
happen to Remy a lot.
Though I will say Darvin's going to pay particular attention to see as far as any music or the like being played or any instruments. Just because hey, never been among wood elves before. There might be something nifty on that level.
There's not so much because again, this is more of a trading and scout outpost than it is a village. You'll get a couple of people with simple flutes that look like they might have been carved out of bone, but um, that as much seems to be whistled messages as much as music. And he shows you shrine, mostly nature gods, but the Palor and Nerul have their own little spots, and shows you the main sort of cooking slash dining area where you'll mostly find scouts and various others more or less roasting their own lunch. They seem to have largely caught things themselves and put it together with whatever happens to be handy. Beyond that, it's mostly huts like the ones you guys have been in, just smaller, less for family units than specific scouting bands, the people who work well together. And they're not very personalized because you'll have people in and out more or less all the time. And it's an interesting little treetop village. Anyone who's ever played the Jaws of Hacken DLC will know the general setup. It's just a bit bigger and higher up. But thankfully, because it's all canopy below, Ava can't see the ground. Just look, and there's leaves. It's leaves.
How close? How close to Mirkwood are we talking here?
To be honest, not entirely sure, but it's been a while. In any case, tour happens, food happens.
Remembering that we slept in that morning, I'm going to go ahead rather than since I didn't pray in the morning, I'm going to go ahead and do so in the evening.
Okay.
And just apologizing for missing that morning and trying to make up for it a little bit, as it were.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not anything in particular. Just, well, actually, I thinking about it, just I could use some assistance in trying to figure out how to not be quite so awkward me. Uh, yeah, I'm doing my best here, but apparently, I could use some direction here because I'll make the effort, but I'm flailing in the dark.
Pause. And very quietly, the voice of that old man. Sometimes light takes time to kindle. Wait for it to do so before you speak. You do not need to have the first or last word. Sometimes the one in the middle, spoken quietly, is the one that turns the tide. Look to your dragon friend. He speaks when he needs to, and that lends his words the same kind of power as his fists at times. And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Alose winds up talking to the people in the main kitchen tent, digging around for. Basically, she's interested in various bits of spice, and turns to Hazel a bit later and holds up a vial of what appear to be burned sesame seeds.
Ooh.
These are. They're magically treated. They're smoky, they're spicy, and they purify food from poisons. I'm,
What?
I'm keeping these. I use them with caution. And then I'm going to show them to Twilly when we get back and see if she can replicate this.
Yes! Yes! Thank you! And shoulder bump.
And she just sort of screw that and hug. And then very quietly, and if you don't shut up about the ceremonies thing, this is the last hug you ever get from me.
Understood. Already done with it.
For now. You've said stuff like that before.
Yeah.
Also here, hands over a bag.
Takes the bag. Raise Jack.
It's the maple walnut cookies.
I freaking love you.
And
Very,
yeah,
very satisfied, Hazel.
anyone
Sorry.
else doing anything? Okay. There was a thing, and now I need to find the damnable thing. Yeah, I think I'll leave that for the time being. Yeah, so you have your tour, your food, your Hazel being gleeful and probably sharing the occasional cookie with Flitty. Darvin coming back from his various prayers looking a bit thoughtful. Sunset comes and down you all go to, I'll spare you the athletics checks this time.
Oh, those were silly.
And meet at the cart, and there's about 5 wood elves dressed to very much blend in with the early evening shadows. So we're trying to find you the stables.
At the very least, a door for them. Not big enough to get the cart through.
They're all just looking at Hazel like, to find the door to the stables, you would have to find the stables.
Yeah. I know
Stop
it's stupid.
talking.
Point taken.
Come with us. Be very quiet. As best as you can with your cart. And I'm gonna roll for y'all because you are in a cart. I'm sure it's because of the assistance of the Wood Elves, because you guys rolled a nat 20. And you make it through. Things appeared to be a little bit of a mess at the palace, at least the outside outskirts. There's clearly been some kind of altercation. There are bodies, high elf guards, the occasional crown's guard. It's difficult to tell whether they were fighting each other, whether they were fighting something else, at least from a cart moving. You can just recognize the various bits of armor as you keep to the shadows and tromp through. Just keeping going.
I'm trying to see if I recognize anything or anyone out of the cluster bonds.
Make me a perception check if you're trying to recognize specific people.
I'm keeping an eye for any sign of movement other.
Perception check from you then.
16.
21.
For Hazel, you didn't really see enough of the guards to recognize anyone. And where you are at the moment, you don't seem to be seeing any of the servants that you would recognize. There do appear to be a few dead stable hands as you're approaching the stables, but you only knew a couple of house servants at best. It's nobody you know. Ava's more hearing than seeing because it's dark and it's shadowy, but that's a pretty good perception check. There's still fighting going on inside. Not the stables, thankfully, but she can faintly hear shit going on in the palace.
Looks like it's still ruckus inside.
I say we use that to our advantage.
We need to get moving.
Yeah.
Turns around to the scouts. Did they describe Doric, Taisha? They nod. Try and find them. And if you can get word to this one, points at Hazel, let her know if they've survived. That'd be great. They nod, and by that point you're in the stable yard, skirting around bodies as best you can, and there's the stable doors, and yes, there is a lock.
Oh, thank the gods. I'm gonna go up to the lock. Okay, everybody, get the cart set.
We're ready when you are.
Out comes key. Into lock it goes. Clunk open.
And thankfully, because Twilly's magic is a sensible sort of magic, and you still do only have 6 seconds, you're looking out at the dooryard outside the Hearthhome stables. And I'm assuming Remy gives it the yeah, and through you go. The stable yard's still pretty clear, but the fallow fields of Hearthhome, the ones that aren't, winter perennials and that kind of thing, seem to be a little bit occupied at the moment. Remy recognizes this.
Uh-oh.
It's
Oh,
it's a merc camp setup.
Does she see like company colors?
Uh, she's human. It's dark. No.
Remy, hold on a second, guys.
But
I just
there's some campfires and unfortunately can't make out any actual faces or voices because it's people huddled around little campfires. But somebody's brought out a couple of casks and they're doing dinner, and so the smells are roasting meat and beer, and the sounds are the usual fare for mercenaries who are between skirmishes.
that was fast.
I told you.
Clearly.
That was ridiculously fast.
Dude, I sent it when we were like a few days out. We're out for over a week.
Yeah. I just remember
Actually, closer to 2 weeks.
I just remember the crazy distances, and then we were traveling by speed transport
They
every
had,
time we did it.
yeah, I mean, they had speed transport, just different speed transport.
Yeah, point. I keep forgetting that their boats are probably way faster than anything over here.
And they might have gone around the cliffs in an airship.
Yeah.
We'd
And
have,
once I actually,
we'd have to ask them, wouldn't we?
yeah.
So this is what the merc companies of Belarus look like when they're actually out. Ha!
Remy, your job looks badass and kind of crazy.
It was, yes.
Okay, do we want to... we probably ought to say hello to the family first, but then we should also probably check on the mercenaries.
Mm. Yeah, let's let the horse start.
I call
Hearth
home.
hearts. No, we got
Do you
back
have
in
any
one
time
piece.
sort of?
Okay, we
Yeah.
just lost Hazel.
Do you have any idea what sort of time it is?
Well, it's winter, it's late, it's dark, it's probably 6-ish,
Oh, so it's not
given
super.
dinner.
Right.
It's about dinner time from the looks of people roasting things.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I'll put away the horse, I guess. Come on, you. Starts on harnessing. Hazel, meanwhile, barges into the kitchen and just get. Ah, you used the stable door.
Your key is awesome.
Thank you. As I say, it really was only a prototype, but it will do for your purposes anyway. Am I taking it that you're the ones to thank for the honored guests outside?
Alice and Remy sent word about 2 days into the travel, and then apparently this happened. Yeah, they did an awesome.
As the first lot sort of airdropped themselves via airship, and we received another company by various boats a few days ago.
All the way up the river. Wow.
And Twilly is just, oh, believe me, some of the some of the travel technology coming out of Airgraph is pretty phenomenal. It won't make its way here for a good long time, but useful when you need to. Plus, we do have a teleportation circle not very far from here, so I was able to help with a little bit more of that once the first lot came through.
I love my home. I love my family. You are all amazing.
I do note a dearth of elven army.
Yeah.
That didn't go
That.
very well, did it?
that. Oh, she was bad.
Yes, we knew that. That's why we bought her from our property.
No. Like they're so obsessed with keeping up their lifestyle that they tried to give us to the whole problem that is Black Crown.
You know that Hazel knows this quiet all too well. She's never really had it directed at her. This is a good thing.
This is that murder quiet.
Particularly from Miranda, who's currently hugging Rizwin and looking sort of around her, because Rizwin's taller than her. Dwarves are more toward the medium end. Halflings are small. It's just, oh really?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, we shall have to discuss that at some point. But the others are well, I take it.
Yeah, they're back at the stable, and I think Remy wants to say hi to the companies. Uh, Everyone else is probably gonna come in any minute now. I got a little antsy and made a divot in the snow getting here.
I understand, Hazel. As long as you're all alright, we can discuss the particulars more after you've eaten something and after the little ones are a bit more in bed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, given that Hazel and Rizwin just kind of barged in the minute they did, that twigged Faraday and Skylar to their back, and all of a sudden, Furseth heading towards the house just glomp!
Yeah, the Dragonborn has been tackled.
Hugs each of them.
Meanwhile, Evan kind of drops out of a tree, more or less into Darmer's arms. Boomf! Hi! You're muted, I think.
Oh, jeez. Hey, squish.
Hugs from above!
Adorable.
And is Remy checking on the mercs?
Yeah, so, go to the edge of the camp. Not try to be quiet, just not to startle anybody.
Well, yeah, just as well, really. She knows full well that trying to be quiet when approaching a merc camp is basically an invitation for them to think of you as a potential enemy scout trying to fuck with your supplies. So, yeah, she approaches a kind of a mixed group It's largely dwarf. The gentleman who looks up from the fire at her is actually rather familiar. This would be Broader. This is the guy who trained her when she was little and just hitting a lamppost with a stick, and decided to actually teach her a few things. Crestwind!
How did you end up all the way out here?
We got a hire? What? How the hell did you get all the way up here?
The will of the gods.
Glances at a gentleman in cleric's robes sitting next to him, another dwarf. Not mine, although I'm fairly sure she's laughing at this. I heard you left the companies. Will of the gods.
Yes.
Carter was livid, and then he was stupid, and then he was dead.
Yes, I was there.
Yes, we did hear about that. But yes, you passed through a few times, caused a bit of a ruckus each time. First there was Carter, then there was that criminal element. It's about time somebody took care of them. We didn't entirely realize how bad that was, but
Glad I was able to cut both those problems off at the source.
well, certainly not with companies anymore. You were with an adventuring band now. You're with an adventuring band now.
Yes, we were all called in various ways, and here we all are now.
Yeah, apparently. How did you find this farm?
Our cleric grew up here.
At least you're sensible enough to have a cleric. Yeah, at which point Alice kind of trumps up and goes, there you went. Brought her? And looks at the two of you. And looks at his cleric friend and... Did you have anything to do with this, you piece of cloaker shit? My goddess, maybe me? I just think it's funny. He's the... You remember I told you airship tower?
Yes.
He's the last survivor.
Oh.
You got new weapons. Yeah, I started using my dexterity a bit more. The cleric who lives here uses it at the moment. It's protected us all when no one else had any weapons. It seems to do that. And you two... How? I'm not telling. We ran into each other in Alzor High. Shit got weird. They just sort of decide to fuck it, sort of sidles up to her. Mine. Hug. They both, the dwarves both burst out laughing. I'm not great with affection words. You can call me yours if you want. I'm okay for each other's. It's fine. I'm gonna go over there now. Bye. See you back in the house.
I'll be back soon. So.
Sorry.
Probably getting looks from those two dwarfs.
No, they're the laughter's finally tapered off now. I mean, you guys in the house have heard the bellows of probably dwarvish laughter.
We haven't been in these parts in a while. How have things been here?
Well, we've managed to get the worst of the Crownsguard folks out of the main cities where we're harrying them so they don't. Well, some of us are harrying them so they don't stop at the nearby farmsteads. Mostly they're trying to drive either towards Cedar Grove or up across the river in the Gray's Inn Black Crown direction. But as much as we'd like to simply eradicate them, as long as they're not here, we're doing our job. For now, anyway.
It's as much as any of us can hope for.
So I have a feeling you all know a bit more what's going on than our gracious hostesses are up for saying.
Well, every time we try to explain it, it gets a little hectic. As situations where the will of the gods are involved tend to be, I imagine.
Well, look, you clearly know how to talk to people like us. So do the ladies of the house, by the way, and the fact that we're working at least partially under the orders of the primary quick flight diminutives is beyond words, by the way. But point is that you seem to know you obviously know how to speak to mercenaries, where your more complicated friends maybe don't, with the exception of I have to ask, I've been wondering for years, what is she?
She's a lot of things, but she's also an SMR.
Thank you. I was wondering if there was a word for the wings and the everything. Look, we're calling the leaders of the various merc bands after dinner for something of a meeting.
Good.
I'd
Good.
appreciate it if some of you lot were there, and any of the ones that make it more complicated of explanations, don't let them speak. You know what we're like.
Duly noted.
I mean, y'all are welcome to join us for dinner, but I have a feeling that some of them, given this, I could see snow flying. We'll let you have dinner with them in a warmer house, and
The Hearths will be insistent on that, I am sure.
we'll look for you in 2 hours.
Sounds good.
It's still looking at his cleric of Istus friend. Just go, you absolute shitlord. It's nothing to do with me. And since we're at that time, we will leave it there. And in 2 weeks' time, sorry, but we will have the meeting. And yes, I know that Darwin's not going to be there. And yes, I'm going to have him take the advice of his current divine soul responsibility and not say a fucking word. This makes life easier for me. I'm happy with this.
Me too.
Yes. Noms, prepare yourself. In 2 weeks' time, this is gonna be you doing the talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
welcome to
start
speeches,
taking some
buddy.
notes.
Yeah, rewatch, take notes. I have bullet pointed write ups. You should be fine.
So I do appreciate those.
And I will see you in 2 weeks' time, if not before. Later, guys.